My name is Lynette Renee Dovey, and I'm an Amazon best-selling ghostwriter, and I make content for my fellow ghostwriters who may be starting out or may be feeling frustrated about this craft, because I know it can get to you, but I'm here to give you the advice and wisdom that I wish I would have had when I first started. So if that seems of interest to you, then definitely hit like, subscribe to this channel, and then also after the video, if you've liked what you've seen, share it within your network. You never know who it could help. So I'm going to give you a second to go ahead and subscribe, and then we're going to jump right into it. Thank you so much for doing that. Number one, you want to get in good with an editor. So the purpose of the editor is they will read what you have created and they will edit it to make sure that it's grammatically sound, that it makes sense, everything flows sequentially, and that it's just a good piece of work. There is nothing more frustrating to me as a professional ghostwriter when I have to edit my own work. I mean, I do it to a certain extent. You know, I want to make sure this word is spelled right here. There's a comma where it needs to be. But going into the knee-deep, nitty-gritty, getting into all of those different words, because some of these documents have 40,000 words, then you definitely want to send it over to an expert who loves to do the editing. So definitely you want to have an editor on your side. And I think of editors as kind of the tech people in the literary and writing and editing industries, because they really will get down to that nitty gritty. There is no detail that's too minuscule or minute. They will catch it. So you definitely want to make sure that you're getting good with an editor. Next, you want to make sure that you have a good relationship with a great graphic designer or even an illustrator. The reason why I say that is because the cover of a book is one of the most important things that will entice a reader to actually pick up a book. Like for instance, this one is really compact. It's about emotional intelligence, so you know that they're going to get down to business. They're going to talk about it indefinitely, and it's designed that way. It's very minimalistic. There's no thrills or frills to that. And this is kind of a thought leadership book that I'm going to show you now. The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. It's a very huge book. I'll put it right here so you can see it. It's a huge book in terms of its notoriety, and it actually has its own cult following. And as you can see, it just has the colors and the different panels. You want to get with someone who's going to have a vision for your book's cover, because again, this is the thing that says, pick me up to your reader, and will get them engaged with your book. Now, some people do opt, specifically if they're in independent publishing, which is what we're discussing, by the way, in this whole video. They will go on Canva and try to create the book cover themselves. Hey, if you feel comfortable doing that, more power to you. But to get that polished, professional look, I advise that you find someone who does this professionally, and that's all that they do, or one of the many things that they do for the editorial process, and then get them to do the cover for you so that it's sharp and it is competitive among the other books that will be sitting aside, either online, digitally, or in a bookstore. So definitely get that illustrator and graphic designer. As I was editing this video, I remembered a point that I wanted to make about graphic designers. You want to make sure that they have the ability to create, yes, an amazing cover, but also the inside of the book. Will they use innovation when they come up with ideas to make your text pop? For instance, you can see in the margins of this book, there's some copy written in red ink. And that's because Robert Greene elected to have different stories that align with whatever power that he's talking about in a particular chapter. I don't know if that was his idea or if he came up with it with a graphic designer, if he helped him, but either way, it's a very cool look. So who's to say, even if you are just doing a digital book, your ebook can have some interesting layout or a template. So you want to make sure that you get with a graphic designer who has innovation and will make your pages pop. That's all I wanted to say. Now let's get back to the next number. Number 3 is very important, specifically for your client, the person that you're writing the book for. They want to know, how will my book be marketed and how will it be competitive in the landscape of all the hundreds of thousands of books that are out there. So this person, the book marketer, is essential, because they should have the knowledge, if they're a good book marketer, to strategically place your client's book in different areas and places for it, so it can be seen and it can be purchased, and that way they will get a return on their investment, because that's essentially what them hiring you is. They're investing in an intangible object, hoping that it does, flip a profit and does become tangible when it's created. So you want to make sure that you connect with a book marketer who is savvy, who has innovative ideas about placement. And also, thirdly, and most importantly, I would argue, is that they have a good working relationship with the potential client, the person that you just wrote the book for, of course. So definitely make sure that you get an A1 book marketer on your team. Now, this next one you may not have thought of, and it's just one that I've recently become acquainted with, because that's the cool thing about ghostwriting professionally. You never do know it all. You're always learning something. So this next role is very important because it's a local printer. And the reason why it's important is because a lot of times whenever people think about independently publishing their books, they always think about Amazon KDP, they think about Ingram Spark, all these other different outlets. But there may be someone within your local vicinity or your region who prints books out themselves, and they would love to take on your account because that means more work for them. And you may be able to negotiate a deal because competition is so heavy for what they do. So this was only applicable for those who want physical books and you want to do a POD service, which is print on demand. So whenever a client, pays, or let me say this, whenever a reader pays for your book and they go to your website, then this printer will fulfill that order. And then that means they'll handle the shipping, the printing, and all the different things to make sure that that client gets that book. So that is something that a lot of times people independently do not think about. They just go straight to Amazon. But if you find someone who does this locally, it allows you to have more control over the pricing and other different negotiating factors. So definitely keep that in mind. Coming up last on our list, but certainly not least, is the boutique independent publisher. So a boutique independent publisher is an entity that's going to be like the big publishing houses, but it's going to be smaller and more compact and kind of a more personalized situation for your client. So when it comes to everything that we've discussed before, from the editor, the graphic design and illustrator, the book marketer, and the individual who does the printing, a local printer like I discussed with you, all of those will be underneath an independent publisher. And the benefit to working with them is that, again, everything is in-house, but that does mean increased prices. Whereas if you go to someone else who does only that one thing specifically, like I talked about before, you may be inclined to find something that's within the budget, depending on what the budget is. But an independent publisher, the one that I have a relationship with, I'll use them as an example, they have the ability to get my clients on bestseller lists. They also have Hudson News placements. Those are the stores. You've probably seen them in an airport where they have the books and the magazines. He has the ability to place books within those retailers. Now that we talked about the importance of all these different positions and the entity of the independent publisher, now it's time to talk about how you meet these people. I always recommend LinkedIn because it literally is one of the biggest global hubs for professionals. You can just do a keyword search, whatever position that you're looking for, and then you can send that person a direct message and just say, hey, you know what? I'm an independent ghostwriter and I'm looking to collaborate with editorial professionals like yourself. Would you like to hop on a quick chat, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, so we can just see if our skills and abilities are aligned, and then we'll take it from there. You want to do this because you will be working with this person. You'll be sending your clients to this person. So whatever first impression you get from them is what your clients will get. And you want to make sure that there's some continuity between those two things, and also to ensure that you two like each other and you can work with each other. And so once that is done, then you can begin to move forward. And I'll tell you what that next step is in a second, because there's one other way that I think you can meet these professionals. If you want to get out of your house and actually go to physical networking events within your region. I think that sometimes these are slept on, but you can go to the Chamber of Commerce, you can Google and see if there's any literary groups in your area near you, and just go out and meet. And you'll be surprised. This industry is big yet small, so you'll be surprised if you know one person, they'll know this other person, they can connect you to another person who can do the things that you need them to do. So those are the two ways that you can meet them. And thirdly, this is my favorite part. Once you have met them, then I would suggest that you set up a referral agreement. Essentially what a referral agreement is every time you send them a client, then they will give you a percentage of those sales because you did the heavy work for them. You found them a lead and they closed them. And so upon payment from the client, then they can send you a percentage. A typical referral fee will be anywhere from 10 to 15%. And the more of those you get, that's just money that's just coming your way. And you can also, be confident knowing that your client is in good hands. So that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And once again, if you got some value, then send it to someone in your network because they might get some value from it as well. So this is Lynette Renee Dobie. And if you want to talk more about your individual situation, if you're a ghostwriter and maybe you have a book that you'd like to write, if you want to write a thought leadership nonfiction book, then definitely go to www.write.wayconsulting.net and fill out an inquiry form, and then we can connect that way. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next upload.